Hello and welcome to This Week in Bitcoin, brought to you by Relai Private. There's a lot that happened this week. Let's get stuck in right away. And news number one are a combination out of financial legacy market news and obviously the recent Bitcoin plump. The recent dip in the Bitcoin price was explained due to the fact that there was extreme fear in the financial markets, in the traditional financial markets, which have been set off due to the yen carry trade. This trade, simply explained, is where you actually loan money in Japan, let's say for this example, 100 million, and you then take this money and invest it in the Western world, whether that be in indexes in America or in Europe or in other things like treasury bonds. Why do you do this? You can actually loan that money at 0% interest rate, or at times even at negative interest rates in Japan, and you can then invest this in positive returns, positive yields in indexes or in treasury bonds. And if you then actually pay back the loan, you're not left with zero, but you're maybe left with like 5% or something, which you have been getting out of these returns in the West. This trade works as long as there's no significant changes with the yen. We've now seen that that is the case. It's plummeting and there had to be interventions. And due to this trade wouldn't work anymore. People couldn't pay back their loans or could barely pay back their loans. Liquidity was missing, and therefore the market reacted. Several key Japanese banks even dropped their stocks by more than 20% in one day on Monday this week. This feared an extreme reaction in the markets, and therefore risk on assets like Bitcoin had to be sold first. But not just Bitcoin, you also saw stocks, which is a very common reaction if news like this happens. Although this gave us the possibility to stack for a short time under 50,000 US dollars again, but now that sort of everything has relaxed and Japan has basically reacted with giving more liquidity in and issuing bonds, you do now see the Bitcoin price rising again. It's up 10% from Monday's low, and it looks like that little dip has been the best opportunity for you to stack some cheap sats. Second news are regarding the Bitcoin network, and that is that we're at a near all-time high for Bitcoin addresses that hold at least 0.1 Bitcoin. That's currently roughly around 5,500 US dollars measured in fiat, and it's a key indicator to see if adoption in the network is significantly growing or not. It's a lump sum of money that people are able to invest, at least if you look at the on-chain data during dips. And the more people can invest a little bit here and a little bit there, and they accumulate to that 0.1%, the more the network has actually risen in the past. Looking at the current data, it's almost 4.6 million addresses that hold at least 0.1 Bitcoin. And if we continue with this trend, we're getting very close to that 5 million mark and also a new all-time high. Great job for everyone who has accumulated that sum now during the dips or during the previous dips. And from the looks of it, the network is growing very healthy. Speaking of positive network growth, the last news of this week is also regarding the transactions that have taken place in the Bitcoin network in Q1 and Q2 of this year, measured in fiat. If you actually take a closer look, you saw that in total 8.9 trillion US dollar have been transacted in the network thus far, coming in at 4.6 trillion in the first quarter and 4.3 million in the second quarter. If you actually take a closer look at the data compared to last year, there are some quarters where that's more than double. Q1 in 23 and Q2, for example, were just at 2 trillion or sub 2 trillion. And now within just a year, that number has basically 2x'd. And compared to other payment networks, such as the Visa network, Bitcoin is actually doing quite a lot of more transactions. In Q1 of this year, the Visa network has only transacted 3.8 trillion, and the Bitcoin network, as I stated previously, was at 4.6, indicating that people are actually using Bitcoin, whether to pay, to invest, or simply to use it as digital money. And with that, we're at the end of this week in Bitcoin. You know the drill. If you got questions, feedback, or just want to say hello, leave a comment below. And I look forward to seeing you next week again.